Next, we've got on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do we have anything to be added or deleted from the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to see that us have a discussion about the current status of influenza and other absence creating illnesses in our school at this point.
Okay, the board, we can, I guess we'll put that as number 2 under transportation discussion. Nothing. Any other? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mike, can I compare it to Mr. Chairman?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor, raise your hand. Yeah. Next, we've got on here, I think we've got a flag here. If you will, let's all stand and we'll start the pledge together. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your listening.
Next, we've got the comments from the superintendent, Dr. Collins.
So as always, we like to bring you some of the positive things that are going on in Ashe County schools. And we've been including some of the great things that are going on, including some upcoming dates. We have concluded our school visits. Some of you attended every one, and some of you, we had high attendance from community members and other leaders, and we're really appreciative of those who came out to see our schools in action. I know that our principals and teachers were excited to showcase what our students are doing on a daily basis. So I just wanted to point that out. In the spring, we'll give you opportunities to get into our schools again so that you can see what's going on and so that our students can showcase the great work that they're doing. Excuse me. One of the things that is hot off the press, you all have heard how well our schools did this past school year, despite of everything that's going on or that was going on with COVID and high absences, etc. Today in the mail, I received a letter from Dr. Catherine Truitt, Superintendent Catherine Truitt and Chairman Eric Davis of the State Board of Education. And essentially it says, I'm presenting awards for achievement and exceeding expected growth under North Carolina's accountability system, which, as you may know, was paused during 2019 and 2020 and 2020-21 school years. In addition to displaying a certificate at your schools, they have some things that we can download and our principals can showcase. But the awards are for the entire district and individual schools' performances during last school year. And we have growth award certificates as well as graduation award certificates. So, you know, we are small, but we are mighty, and our schools do really well. Westwood Elementary School received an award for achieving expected growth of academic progress. Ashe County Early College High School received an award for achieving the goal of expected academic progress. Mountain View Elementary School received an award for exceeding expected academic progress. Blue Ridge Elementary School received an award for exceeding expected academic progress. Ashe County Middle School received an award for exceeding expected academic progress. And Ashe County Early College High School received an award for outstanding graduation rate of 100%. So congratulations to all of our schools, our children, our families, and especially the teachers and principals and other staff members. congratulations. And so I don't know how you top that, but our schools have traditionally done well, and last year was no exception. You can see the list of dates and things. We have lots of things going on in December. Tomorrow night, we will be here at Ashe County High School for our choral performance from all of our elementary schools. Lots of great things going on. So I hope that you'll look through the list and try to attend some of them. The second thing, and Shara Ashley could not be with us today, but I wanted to make sure that we highlighted her. She was named the outstanding math teacher at the North Carolina Teacher of Mathematics conference this year. She is an elementary mathematics teacher at Mountain View Elementary School. She was recognized as the outstanding math teacher at this conference in November, and highlighted in front of her peers who also teach mathematics across the state of North Carolina. We're really proud of her. And I want to say something special about Shara. We were at she could choose to do a professional development in math. And our elementary teachers are also doing letters training. They're doing a lot right now. And she was so over the moon excited to be learning. Thank you, Casey, for putting that together with your colleagues at NCAT. But she was over the moon excited and just could not wait to go back and implement in the school with students. And so I love to see that enthusiasm. And so congratulations to Miss Ashley on that well-deserved award. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Cox. And of course, earlier we did have a reception for our early graduates. I think we had 22, I believe.
22 early graduates.
So we had those for a reception earlier, and then they recognized that really board member West Corporate as well. I don't see any public comment on this agenda, so moving forward. Ms. Allison Kemp Sullivan with our middle school update.
Good evening. This will be brief. We are working. We just don't have a whole lot to report right now. Can you hear me?
You might want to get a little closer to the mic.
Okay.
There you go.
Whoa, okay. As y'all know, we had hired the Thomas Herman Company. They were selected for the surveying, and we received a proposal from Jason Herman for $29,950. That was approved. And Jason is working. That work is underway. Benoit Construction, Clark Nixon, Dr. Cox and I will begin bi-weekly meetings this Wednesday, the 7th. And also there will be a meeting on December 15th with y'all, Clark Nixon, and I believe there'll be some others there as well to go over progress to date with them. That's pretty much the gist of it. I'm also working with Jennifer Green, who's here, on helping her with updating the grant for the Bulldog Clinic. That's the highlights. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm fine with it. Do the 6 o'clock for a reading meeting, but if we're gonna have a closed session, I would like to have or whatever we need to do. Because I think it makes it a lot easier on. And that's how I feel. I'm not sure, so.
So
So we can announce that. What time, closer to time this evening meeting?
we'll look at that notice. So do I have a motion to move the board meeting to January 9th?
Suspend.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Not too many. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Now, we have the reception for the mid-year grads. So you have that list. Graduates, and I'll entertain a motion to approve these lists of graduates.
My thing is not short list.
We printed off the list because there were some students that were waiting on confirmation. And so the list that's printed today in your packet is the list.
Are they all in good standing?
They are all in good standing as of today. And we got a thumbs up from the principal.
Okay. Don't want any surprise.
All of their community service hours are completed. Each one of them had at least 30, many of them had more. They're all academically in good standing from everything that was turned into us. Now they do have 2 more weeks left.
I have a motion to approve these graduates.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve and applaud these graduates for finishing high school career.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, will raise your hand. Let's give them all a round of applause. There's a lot of work to get that done. Next we've got is on the agenda, protecting our kids from vaping and nicotine addiction. This is a resolution. For the board to approve.
And we have Miss Jennifer Green.
Good evening. Ooh, it's got some power behind it. Thanks for having me tonight, and I'm joined by my colleague, David Willard, who's our regional tobacco prevention manager. We have a resolution before you tonight that our Board of Health actually adopted a similar version of, and really what we're trying to do is gather awareness from our partners about the dangers related to vaping and youth. I think I don't have to tell you all that we've seen an increase in vaping across our communities, but our concern is that when children who are under 21 get exposed to vaping and vape products early, it really starts them on a path of addiction before their brains are fully developed. We know that nicotine can impact mood disorders. It can impact impulse control. Certainly isn't. We know that there's a lot of chemical components in vaping products that we don't fully understand the long-term effects. And so what we are trying to do is build support to actually have a process so that all retail establishments are following a similar pattern for their sales related to tobacco products, specifically vape products that are for age 21, under 21. There is a federal law in place already that prohibits establishments selling these products, but North Carolina does not have any clear language on the books that guides retailers. We know that they will be part of an important voice in having a resolution to this problem. But specifically, we also know that, you know, this is not a school issue, it's a community public health issue. We know that in Ashe County alone, our leading causes of death are cancer, heart disease, chronic lower respiratory disease, and stroke. tobacco use is a key risk factor for all of those. And so, we also know that we haven't even talked about the challenges that is presented in a school environment when there are devices that are easy to hide and move around. And we know that there are concerns about what could be put into the devices as well over time. So what we're trying to do is build support for this movement to really protect our children because we know that there is harm related to their use. 95% of tobacco users start before the age of 21. And so what we want to do is try to build support by limiting the access. Certainly, we know this is a public health issue, and that means it's complex. Doing one measure won't change it all, but it will move us further closer to the right direction to try to prevent more kids from being addicted early before they become adults. I'm happy to answer questions, but I thought that might be better than reading it to you.
Do I have a question?
Are you aware of any legislation that might move us to that 21 in North Carolina? I see 41 states. So is there any indication that this is coming?
That's what our hope is that we can use this to influence legislation moving forward. Specifically, you know, my plan is to share this not only with our boards of education in our district, but our county commissioners, as well as our representative Pickett, who's been very easy for us to access in terms of conversations. So I think our legislators will be an important part of our next step of sharing this information. We thought it would be helpful to show the community support as we talk about this. We're going into a long session, so that's our hope is doing this now will help us continue to build support for that in the upcoming General Assembly session.
And you already presented this to the other school districts in the act.
I think you all would be the very first in the state of North Carolina if you adopt this tonight.
Fred has not read this resolution. He's not read this resolution.
Does he need to?
I don't think so. I mean, because this is supporting it or not. There's nothing in here that is. It's interesting you support it. There was nothing in here that's binding, that's going to commit you to anything but support.
And this is the one you will present at Allegheny one time.
Yes, we're on the books to go present this in Watauga next Monday, and I'm working on it now for Allegheny as well.
Is there any more dated data out there? We've got 2019. Is there anything that's happened since then, or that anything we can, that's 3 years ago?
Yeah, I think what's hard is some of the data, you know, I don't have to tell you all the other reasons I came to talk to you before has slowed us down in some of the data collection. I can tell you though, what helps me see that this is important here in Ashe County is that because of our longstanding partnership with Ashe County Schools, we've been able to do something called the Youth Risk Behavior Survey for a number of years. I think you all have seen those reports in the past. What that's shown us, actually, and I've got a few points of data that I can share with you. 10% or 9.6% of middle school students reported ever having used a vapor product. 3% reported use in the last 30 days. Now, this was pre-pandemic data. We know at the state level, statewide high school use of any tobacco product was about 27%. And we know about 20% of high schoolers reported use of a vape product, 6% of middle school students. So I think in general, my concern here is that we're not only seeing more kids being exposed to this addictive substance earlier, you know, with younger ages, but what we've seen over time and asking this question is that considerably it's becoming younger, but also it's more prevalent. We're seeing more people be open about the fact that they are using this. And, you know, we're not, you know, I'm a public health director, so I'm not gonna say that it's safer. I would never say that, but I also think there are real problems with people becoming addicted and they don't, you know, they need support. And so we also think it's important for families to have these conversations with, a lot of times as parents, we don't realize the power we have with our children by talking about things. This is harmful, and we know that having access to a retail establishment that doesn't have licensing requirements. You know, if you think about the way that alcohol sales are limited and prohibited to 21 and older, what we're trying to do is have a similar path for tobacco products. Tobacco is one of the leading risk factors that causes death in our country and in our community. And so what we want to do is prevent youth from getting, you know, enticed by these fun fruit flavor, candy flavor vape products early on that can impact their brain function and get them addicted before they even become adults. So that's what this is about. I know I kind of went around the question. I have a whole list of data points that I can give you. But that's probably the most recent data that's available.
Any other questions? Resolution. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
I move that we, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You have Ms. Ellis has a follow-up question, not for you, Ms. Green, I don't think it's about something in our schools, Ms. Ellis.
Yes, I'd like to know the status of our vaping machines at the middle school and the high school. I know that has been a discussion in the past and that we were looking at different types of vaping detectors. And I'd like to know what that's looking like at this point.
So, both principals are here. I know that we've had vape detectors in some of our schools, but and additional grants that will allow us to put more. That new grant that came in, the safety grant, was one of them that will allow us to purchase more vape detectors. So that we can have more in our restroom areas, because that seems to be the place where kids want to try to get away with that. But we have one at the middle school currently and 0 at the high school, 2 at the high school currently. 2 at the high school currently, okay. So, and like I said, the safety grant will have it was written into the grant to purchase vape machines or detectors, not machines. Hopefully they're not putting any vape out.
So how many do we currently have that are?
1 at the middle school and 2 at the high school. 1 in each. Am I allowed to say where they are, Dustin? They're not working? I guess it doesn't matter if we have them up, if they're not working.
I thought that had been approved earlier.
So through the safety grant, that's where the money's coming from. To purchase the vape machines.
What
From
are we
the-
waiting on? I guess that's our question.
Yeah.
What are we waiting? We approved the money.
Right, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they've, I don't know the status of the order.
So where we are with that, we met, in our last safety meeting, I shared all those products. Part of that was written into the grant was the vape detectors. The vape detectors, I gave links to everybody in their last safety meeting. It's just getting the quotes in and saying yes. And there's mixed emotions on those vape detectors. I'll get that out in a minute. But one of the concerns is giving false alarms frequently. So going and responding and there's nothing there. They offer a lot of capability. They are not inexpensive. You know, you look at what they demonstrate as the model, when you YouTube it and watch it, they look very, very good and look like they're very productive in helping. But there's some mixed feelings about that. I think one school's probably had more success over the other. For what have you reason, they're all set up the same way. So it's just a matter of getting the quotes in and getting those approved as far as, I don't know what the total number come in for the budget.
I would think if we've already approved that, and that's our expectation, that this should already be, we should have this done. I think that's one of the few recourses we have is to keep the vaping down in the school are those detectors. I'm hoping we can find a model that doesn't go off indiscriminately. But that is one way, other of short, putting actual bodies in a place where they can detect that. And, you know, we used to have to do cigarette duty in high school. We had to go stand in the bathroom, near the bathroom and monitor the bathrooms during breaks and those kinds of things. So I think this is a better option than that. So we really need to get those in place as soon as we can.
I just suspect that's probably not gonna be the lowest cost product either, Jerry.
It's not a very inexpensive product, and they made newer models. So maybe when we explore a little bit deeper, the newer model will be a little bit better. But I know that's the same brand that we're looking at that we currently have, and that's considered one of the top of the line models.
And so I just received information too, the health department has some additional funding that they can put toward some of the vaping detectors as well. It's just a matter of finding a model that's gonna work for us here. And soon.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Baker.
I think I'm up
Oh, you're
next.
up next, yeah. You're going from vacant to open windows, so let's keep them out windows for a little bit.
So on concerning the windows for Blue Ridge Elementary and Mountain View Elementary, the window replacement project was bid November 16th, 3:00. 3 companies submitted bids. Upon review of the bids, it was determined that the lowest qualifying base bid was $1,552,835 with a contingency of $77,642 and a total bid of $1.6 million, a little over $1.6 million. Windows were projected to cost approximately $675,000 when we got the projections in, which was in this school year. We had budgeted $1 million, thinking that we could account for the increases in materials. We were wrong. Therefore, the lowest qualifying bid was $630,477 over the budgeted amount. I'm requesting that we reject all bids. I'm also requesting permission to continue to working with Love and Architecture and explore alternative options to bring the bids within budget included, but not limited to changing window specifications or other alternates in limited number of windows, maybe by even installing in just one school.
So we need a motion in effect to reject the bids.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a motion to reject the bids? For the windows?
I make a move, we reject the bids, that's simply too long.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Any other questions or comments?
I appreciate Mr. Baker being, a good steward of our budget. With this information, so thank you, Jerry.
I wish I had better news.
Maybe you will next time.
Maybe next time.
Mr. Baker, would you remind me who Lutton and Architecture is, where they're out of, and I'm sure you've told me before, that did not ring the bell with me for some reason.
If my glasses were a little bit better quality, I could probably read it because it's very, very fine print. But they're out of North Carolina. They're Mooresville. It's the address they actually have for the company. Very, very responsive gentlemen. Have been very helpful, very informative through this process. And they've been involved in quite a bit. So just very disappointing.
Could I ask how bad are the windows that we're replacing?
I'm sorry, I can't.
How bad are the windows that we need to replace?
One school windows are more in need than another. Not that they both couldn't be replaced, but probably of the two, Blue Ridge is more in need of replacement. Just by walking around the school and looking at the windows, and part of this leans itself to the air conditioning and trying to modify windows that's not made to raise to accommodate the air conditioning that's been done in the past.
How is it gonna impact our heating costs this year for the window? I mean, those windows, is that going to, does it impact those? Are they leaking air that might make it more difficult to heat the building?
They're not doing anything different this year than they were last. So as far as comparison of cost, they only compare up in cost would be just the actual cost of electricity, not because of the inefficiency being any different. But they, if you walk through the school, particularly in some areas with the plexiglass, it's just not as efficient around some of the units as you'd like for it to be.
Heating oil has gone up so expensively, it's a concern that this year, I think.
I ordered some today. I haven't shared this with Amanda, but I'm gonna smile. I actually get to report, fuel oil had actually gone down by almost 50 cents. So we saved about $3,000, almost $4,000 with the load compared to this time 2 weeks ago.
Right, and it'll continue that on. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We've got a motion on the second on the floor. All those in favor of rejecting the bids, raise your hand. Next, we've got on the agenda is our personnel. Barry.
Barely seated. Good evening, board members. You have our personnel report in front of you, and we're just seeking approval for the personnel agenda. I did email out on Friday an addendum with a resignation that I thought the board needed to be aware of.
Right. Everybody entertain a motion to accept the personnel.
I move we accept the personnel agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions? We know all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that's done. Next, we've got updates and discussion items on there. First, we item of transportation. Dr. Cox.
So I think you recall, at the last board meeting, we had somebody who, spoke up specifically about transportation. And of course, in, rural Ashe County, that is a huge challenge for us. Both our terrain and, where our schools are all located. It does propose a challenge, across our district. In addition to that, I think you know the challenge we've had of hiring bus drivers. And we are down several routes again this year. So if anybody out there would like to drive a bus, we pay for the classes and we'll help you to get licensed. It does take a couple of months to do so, to be able to get your bus license. But we are, we welcome new people to come drive for us, and we do have competitive pay. But I do want to say that we will have a committee in February that hopefully will have the updated information from the state that will take a look at transportation, school bus transportation here in Ashe County. and see what, not just analyze the challenges that we know exist, but what are some possible solutions so that our students can have shorter rides, because they are too long. There are a lot of students within our district that have far too long in the morning and of an evening on the school bus. So certainly we've got to be able to put our heads together and find a solution toward it. Shay Coldiron, our Director of Transportation, has already been exploring some of those solutions. And hopefully the committee can pull some things together and take a look at where we are and where we need to be and set some goals that maybe are doable. I don't know what those are, but hopefully we'll have some solutions. The second thing, I wanted to update on transportation in general. I know that there's been some concern around some of our elementary schools, specifically Blue Ridge, and how when, especially of an evening, there are challenges around people getting in and out of the school, where cars are, people line up to get their children quite early during the day, and there's really nowhere for them to go. And, that hill is blind at Blue Ridge. So Jerry had contacted somebody had contacted, I think it was Jerry, Mitchell, Joe Allen, Shay, several people have been in on this, but contacted the state to get somebody out here to take a look at it and say, can you be a different set of eyes on this issue and help us work through it? They were supposed to come about a month ago. That didn't happen for whatever reason, and we have a Zoom meeting with them upcoming so that they can begin this traffic analysis. It takes a long time to do that, but they will be doing this traffic analysis around Blue Ridge Elementary School, and then telling us what those next steps are. So, it's not going, that part is not going the speed that I would like it, but that is not within our control. And certainly we are anxious for them to come and take a look at Blue Ridge Elementary School specifically.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
How do you do a traffic analysis, husband?
So on, Jerry, you might be able to speak a little bit better to this and what they're actually going to do first.
I can't give you great detail other than when it was brought up here, we met with, I called their local folks fairly quickly. Matter of fact, the next day, and then he moved it up the chain. So the person that called back actually emailed us, and it was a month or two later. It was a while to get a response back other than saying we've recognized that you have tried to contact us. They sent us out a potential date for a Zoom, and we responded back that day. And by the time we responded back in about half a day, they said that slot was already filled up. They gave us 3-time slots, so it pushed us back another week. They're coming on the 20th. I know they would wanted to meet with the principal of the school, myself, transportation director. And at that point, I think they're just going to be exploring. I've already sent them photographs. I've sent an explanation about what we think some possibilities could be for us, meaning putting traffic around the school is not a good idea after leaving just the safety meeting we were at. So that's not going to be an option. And then we're on a hill. So we got a well at the bottom of the hill. So trying to find another possibility of creating more place to entertain traffic as it's waiting is not going to be an easy thing as well. So the alternate of a lane, that's our best alternate for us. But of course, I'm not quite sure what they're going to share with us as the option might be. But I do expect that the 20th that morning is their meeting coming up. I wish I could give you more information, but we're just in a holding pattern and waiting. Seems like in here lately, you hurry up and wait.
Is our local Department of Transportation engaged in any of these conversations today? Like, for example, the law in coming out into the road, backing up traffic when the line enters the road. You can't do that, can you? Or have we had any?
There's nobody local that I can think of that hasn't been made aware of the situation.
Okay.
Anything else?
Well, I see this as an ongoing issue. That's a solution. I just can't imagine what the solution would be. You cannot wrap the traffic around the building.
And it's one of the reasons why I think our middle school, our new middle school will hopefully have some options.
I will say, we talked about the agenda, as Elton mentioned, Miller Street Elementary, Lewis County. And I actually drove through the other day, where the school was dismissing down there. They're out in the road just like we are. They have added some gravel, looks like, to the edge of the road where the cars actually get off the road, but I know I still call it Baker Hill. On Baker Hill there, you're in somebody's yard if you're the gravel.
Outside unless they move the road over some. And, even as someone who goes up that hill several times a day, it's blind. You can't, the people coming across the top of the hill, you're trying to miss the traffic to get from school to the top of the hill is very dangerous. I met a truck one day, a big truck, and he wasn't giving me enough room to get by, and I didn't see him till I was already committed to being sort of in the middle of the road. So that happens all the time. I'm just really concerned that there's gonna be a very major accident there. The buses coming out, or people coming across that hill, or people pulling out actually at that time is dangerous as well, because you cannot see around the hill. So it's just something I hope we don't forget about. I hope we keep pushing and getting someone up here to see what we can do. And you're right, in the middle school, I'm sure that we've already discussed some of that already. And I know it's a problem for Mr. Blackman as well. And Mountain View, there's just a little more road to get on the road there out of the main road. It's something we need to continue to pursue. I'm just really concerned that there's going to be something major that happens there. Thank you, Mr. Baker.
But I have anything else? And more to come on transportation. We did have an item added, on the agenda, and the status of the flu and other illnesses, the mediation there, on that. Any specific questions the board has on that? I think I talked to Mr. Baker earlier, asking him, what the steps. Do you want to address those, Mr. Baker? Kind of what's happening?
So a few things. Back with COVID, we invested in a product that I still stand behind. I think it's a good product. It's called Vital Oxide. Its kill rate is 99.999%. So I consider that very effective. 60-second kill time. Dilution of 5:1, sanitizing carpet and other soft surfaces. Vital Oxide certification, which means it can be used on food contact as a food contact sanitizer surface with no wrench required. Does not require PPE. And at the same time I'm saying all this, the kill rate is very, very high. It's hazardous materials identification system rating is 000. You can't get much better than that. Eliminates mold, mildew. And the other thing that we were really blessed with last year, we were able to purchase electrostatic sprayers for every school. They're small, so if you have an area within a classroom, or maybe we'll call it a concentration of students that maybe are getting sick, they can take the hydrostatic sprayer in there with this solution in there and spray the whole room. Also, we have alcohol wipes. It's there. They can wipe down. It's not a Clorox wipe. It's an alcohol wipe for contact to the skin. But nothing beats washing your hands. Just nothing beats washing your hands and keeping your hands out of your face. Tomorrow, we had already planned a meeting at 9 o'clock. I meet with all the custodians, and we have 3 vendors that are sharing their products with us at the same time, what they feel like would be the most effective in cleaning their schools and sanitizing their schools. And as I said, that meeting starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. and Lee custodians will be there as well as the vendors, so we can look at maybe what could be a better idea or a new idea. But again, nothing beats washing your hands and putting your hands out of your face. Any other questions for me?
Actually, I have one, OSHA always comes to my mind anytime we talk about sprays, anything of any kind. Are there any training or any issues that OSHA would have a problem with us about these chemicals we're using in this?
None at all. You can't ask for a safer product than this. I won't put Ms. Green on the spot, but 000 are great numbers to have a cleaning rate or a disinfectant rate of that high and to be that safe. It'll actually list, if you look at this product online, you can pour this down the drain. They consider it safe for fish. So that's about the best I could find.
Anyone have any other questions?
How many cases of flu were there last week that were reported? Do we know?
Within our schools, I don't know that. I
Is it
do.
looking down?
Well, I have from, and it's always a week difference, a week behind. Information specific from the health department on what those official diagnoses are, but flu-like symptoms, flu, COVID, RSV, strep throat, collectively, collective sickness in schools was on the increase over the last couple of weeks. My own son is homesick. We had, it's one of our schools, I think the high school, on, I don't know which day it was last week. By the end of the day, we had almost 25% of the student population who had gone home sick. That was right before Thanksgiving break. This week, I don't know what today was like. I hadn't had a chance to take a look at those numbers. I hope that they're going down, but for the couple weeks prior to that, they were on the increase. When you look at the respiratory virus surveillance, and I can send this to you, you probably received some of them from the health department. If you're signed up for their listserv, but in the week of the 5th of November, they were at a peak. And, but as of the 2nd of December, they reported that 4.6% of emergency department visits were attributed to flu-like illness. And a year ago, it was only 1.8% of emergency department visits. So it's up significantly compared to previous years. Last year, this time, I think we were masked and still apart, etc. And I think that, you know, now that people are back together, our immune systems are acting a little differently. They're not used to some of it. So we've seen a lot more sickness. I don't know if that's really the explanation or not. But I know that I remember being a first-year teacher and being exposed to all kinds of stuff. You know, I think you get sicker when you're exposed to it than you do. So taking those precautions, we are doing what we can as far as, you know, I think a couple weeks ago, sent out a message about what to do. You know, we're cleaning, we're doing extra cleaning, making sure that we're using the vinyl oxide. But you know, there's some, you know, kids are still washing their hands and they have hand sanitizer available. All of those things that we've had in place. Unfortunately, it just seems to be on the rise. Now, if we don't have the staffing in order to continue, or if it gets too much, I think even before COVID, Ashe County schools had to shut down for a couple of days due to the flu. And so we've been in contact with the health department and making sure that you know, we're doing the right thing on behalf of our kids. But I would just encourage families, if your child has a fever, if they have any of these flu-like symptoms, keep them home, send a note.
I've had some concerns about the attendance policy, and with the amount of sickness, and we've got some parents that are concerned, mainly high school, who want to be exempt from teacher-made exams, that they're coming to school when they probably should not be. I want to address that to the parents, what that might look like, or is there a concern about attendance at this point at any of the schools?
So we've been monitoring attendance. We've just gone through our first round of data meetings where we've been looking at attendance, both students and staff. And while it is significantly down from last year, it's still higher than it was before. And so most of those numbers though were pre this new flu that seems to be going around in the last couple of weeks. And so we're looking at those numbers. I do know that our staff cares. And as far as student attendance, while we want kids to school, we know they learn basketball at their school, we also know they need to get healthy. And so families need to turn in a note, a doctor's note, or a parent note becomes an excused absence. We know the kids that are, taking advantage of that, and that's very few and far between. Most of our families are doing the right thing by keeping our kids home when they're sick. And we support that. We want them to be there, but we also want kids to be healthy. So.
Any other questions?
And there are attendance appeals too. So I know the high schools recently sent home some of those appeals packets. So if they're way over their dates or way over their days, they can fill out the paperwork to make sure that they can not lose out.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I will make a comment. I had reached out to Sheriff Howell, see if he could be here this evening and kind of address the board. Of course, as everybody heard, there were some hoaxes that went out across the state, and I thought it might be good while it's on the hot air line for him to explain a couple of things about different lockdowns as far as full lockdown or soft lockdown. He's going to email the board some of that information from the law enforcement end of that. And then he said he can possibly come to our January board meeting and talk a little bit more about that, but they want to let everybody know that they had talked to him.
And we'll have a full safety presentation at that January board meeting as well. I know that Mr. Baker and the safety committee, which includes our SROs and some of our principals, he's already started on a presentation of what that looks like. And certainly we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep our kids safe. That is our #1 goal. And of course, we want to make sure that you all have all the information on that new safety grant that's out there as well.
When was our last training for employees, safety training for employees?
At the beginning of the school year,
And
every year.
everything was reviewed as far as what is solved.
So Jerry, if you want to stand up and share about the lockdown procedures and what happens in each school.
So we've been meeting, the last, probably 3 months ago, roughly. All the administrators were given a sheet that defines each one of those, and actually, we changed the term from soft lockdown to secure, because what happened was, I'm laughing with Roy, over my verbiage. But we changed that terminology because the soft lockdown got confused with a lockdown. So we no longer use that. You have a secure and then you have a lockdown. So what we did to respond this previously was a secure. So everybody has that. Administrators are good now to their teachers. There shouldn't be anybody that has any doubt about what any of those mean. We've been looking at, one positive thing that came out is as we did this, you're able to find things that maybe were not noted. So we've got a couple of doors. We need to look at some locks. We've got that information today, so we can make keys for keys that might have been misplaced, and be in a situation like that. We want to make sure they lock their classroom door. So there's positive things that came from that, as each thing's a learning experience. But I feel really good about our monthly meetings. I feel really good. The sheriff, for representation from the sheriff department's been there, very active with us. And, it's just a phone call away, which is awesome in situations like we've been in.
And every school's done a lockdown.
Yes, every school has done at least one lockdown. Well, with the exception, we have one that has not, but it's scheduled for Wednesday of this week.
And about substitute training? I understand there were several substitutes in the building. Have we done anything with that?
Substitute teachers are onboarded. They have to do an onboarding orientation at the school level with the principal. And during that time, principals make them aware of the emergency plans and all that kind of stuff. So I can always follow up with the principals, make sure we're covering our bases there.
I think so, because I know that there were several substitutes in the system on Thursday when this happened, so we want them comfortable with
Absolutely.
whatever's, going
Yeah.
on and what might happen.
And we were just, Earl and I were just talking our mid-year hires for our teachers. You know, they don't typically get the whole, big new teacher orientation 3-day type deal like we do at the beginning of the year. So that's something important we want to go over with them too. So, yeah, it's a great idea.
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody for being so proactive with that last Thursday. No threat should be not taken seriously. On that, and we are blessed as a county to have SROs in every school, not all districts, so we like to have that. So, yeah, department as well for having those SROs and getting the new ones, so having the new ones coming up for us now. Does anybody have anything else to come before the board? Yes. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion, we go into closed session.
Second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, will you are at liberty to go?
Everything's fine.